Imagine waking up one morning, not to the sound of your alarm, but to a thunderous, earth-shaking tremor. You look out your window and your blood runs cold. Towering over your neighbor's house is an ant, its antennae twitching, its body a glossy black carapace. And it's not just one. The entire street, the city, the world has been overrun by colossal ants, each one 10 times the size of an adult human. This isn't a nightmare. This is the new reality. Welcome to the age of the ants. Now, before we dive into the chaos, let's get the science out of the way. Could this actually happen? In a word, no. An ant scaled up to that size would be an anatomical impossibility. First, there's the square cube law. As an object gets bigger, its volume and mass increase by the cube of the scaling factor. But its surface area only increases by the square. An ant 10 times human size would be so heavy its own exoskeleton would shatter under its weight. Its legs simply couldn't support its massive body. Then there's the breathing problem. Ants don't have lungs like we do. They breathe through tiny holes in their bodies called spiracles, which connect to a network of tubes that deliver oxygen directly to their cells. This system is only efficient over very short distances. A giant ant's insides would suffocate long before oxygen could ever reach them. So, for the sake of our thought experiment, let's just wave a magic wand. Say a mysterious evolutionary leap or some sci-fi shenanigans solve these problems. The ants are here, they're huge, and they're not going anywhere. The initial shock would be absolute pandemonium. Imagine a creature the size of a school bus, with the strength to lift many times its own weight, scuttling down your street. Cars would be crushed like soda cans. Power lines would be torn down as if they were cobwebs. The foundations of buildings would crack and crumble under their immense weight and burrowing habits. Our entire infrastructure, from our roads and bridges to our underground tunnels and sewage systems, was built for humans, not for 60-foot-long insects. It would collapse within days. Global communication would be one of the first things to go. Server farms, internet cables, satellite dishes, all would be either trampled or simply ignored by the new giants. We'd be plunged into a pre-digital darkness, isolated in small pockets of survival, with no way of knowing what was happening just a few miles away. The world economy would instantly evaporate. What's a stock market when the trading floor is a giant ant's nest? This isn't just a disaster. It's a fundamental shift in the planet's power dynamics. For millennia, humanity has sat comfortably at the top of the food chain. Not anymore. We are no longer the apex predators. We are prey. And ants are masters of warfare. We think of war in terms of tanks, jets, and complex strategies. Ant warfare is a different beast entirely. It's a game of numbers, chemistry, and brutal, overwhelming force. Most ant species are social insects with a highly organized caste system. They have soldiers, workers, and a queen, all working in perfect, selfless harmony for the good of the colony. A single colony can contain millions of individuals. Now scale that up. We're talking about armies of giants, millions strong, all coordinated through chemical signals called pheromones. Imagine a trail of pheromones, a scent on the wind that mobilizes an entire army of house-sized monsters to attack a human city. How do you fight an enemy that communicates on a level you can't even perceive? Their weapons would be terrifyingly effective. Many ant species can spray formic acid. For a regular ant, it's a mild irritant. For a giant ant, it would be like a chemical weapon, a corrosive spray that could melt through steel and flesh alike. And let's not forget their mandibles. Jaws that can slice through leaves and other insects would now be able to shear through concrete walls and armored vehicles. A soldier ant could bite a tank in half. Our military would be useless. A fighter jet might take down 1 or 2 giant ants, but what happens when 1,000 more emerge from a nearby nest? A nuke might sterilize a city, but it would also make it uninhabitable for us. The ants would just colonize the next city over. They don't care about radiation. Their sheer numbers and decentralized nature make them an enemy we simply cannot defeat with conventional tactics. They aren't trying to conquer us. They're just expanding their territory, and we happen to be in the way. The environmental consequences would be catastrophic. Ants are ecosystem engineers. On their normal scale, they aerate soil and disperse seeds, which is great. On this colossal scale, their burrowing would trigger massive earthquakes and landslides. Their vast tunnel networks would destabilize entire continents. They would consume everything in their path. Forests would be devoured in hours. All other land animals, sloths, lions, tigers would be wiped out almost instantly. They stand no chance against a swarm of 60-foot ants. This would trigger a total ecological collapse. With all the plants gone, the planet's atmosphere would change. Oxygen levels would plummet. The ants might survive for a while, perhaps by farming fungus in their massive underground caverns. But for most other life forms, it's game over. The planet would become a barren wasteland, a giant anthill. So, could humanity survive? It seems unlikely, but we are a resilient and adaptable species. Our only hope would be to go somewhere the ants can't, or won't. Some of us might retreat to the coldest regions of the planet, the Arctic and Antarctic. Ants are generally less active in extreme cold, so these icy fortresses might offer a temporary safe haven. Others might take to the seas, living on massive flotillas or aircraft carriers, becoming nomads on the open ocean. The ants, being land creatures, might not be able to follow. The most plausible long-term strategy would be to go underground. Not just into basements or subway tunnels. The ants would find us there. We'd have to dig deep, creating self-sustaining bunkers miles beneath the surface, powered by geothermal energy. We would become a species living in the dark, telling stories of the sunlit world we lost, a world now ruled by giants. We would transition from the planet's rulers to its deep earth-dwelling survivors. In the end, why would the ants win so decisively? It comes down to one simple concept: unity. Humanity is a collection of individuals. We have ambitions, fears, and disagreements. We fight amongst ourselves even in the best of times. An ant colony, on the other hand, is a superorganism. Each ant is just a cell in a larger body, working with a single, unified purpose: the survival and expansion of the colony. They have no concept of self, no fear of death. They are the ultimate collective. Faced with an enemy that is bigger, stronger, more numerous, and perfectly united, our individualism becomes our greatest weakness. We would be scattered, disorganized, and terrified. The ants would be a relentless, coordinated, unthinking tide. They wouldn't be evil or malicious. They would just be doing what ants do. And in this new, terrifying world, that would be more than enough to ensure their reign and our end. The age of mammals would be over. The age of insects would begin. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this trip into the terrifying unknown, be sure to like and subscribe for more.